Jesse James, the outlaw legend Jesse Woodson. James was born on September 5, 1847, in Clay County, Missouri, to a Baptist minister and a Southern supporting family. He would grow from a bright-eyed farm boy into one of the most famous and feared outlaws in American history. His life was a blend of rebellion, vengeance, fame, and betrayal, unfolding in the chaotic years before, during, and after the American Civil War. The Civil War and guerrilla warfare. Jesse's early teenage years were marked by one of the bloodiest conflicts in U.S. history, the Civil War. Missouri was a border state, deeply divided between Union and Confederate sympathies. At the age of just 15, Jesse followed his older brother Frank James into the ranks of Confederate guerrillas, known as bushwhackers. They fought alongside William Quantrill and later Bloody Bill Anderson, leaders of irregular Confederate units that conducted raids, ambushes, and massacres. These groups weren't conventional soldiers. They operated in the shadows. Jesse participated in ruthless attacks, including the infamous Centralia Massacre in 1864, where over 20 unarmed Union soldiers were executed. The violence Jesse witnessed and committed during this time shaped the man he would become. After the war ended in 1865, Jesse and Frank returned to Missouri, but the peace was uneasy. The post-war period was marked by political tension and resentment. Jesse, still embittered by the South's defeat and hounded by Union sympathizers, didn't lay down his arms. The rise of the James Younger Gang by 1866, Jesse and Frank had turned to outlawry. They teamed up with Cole, Jim, and Bob, younger former Confederate soldiers like themselves. Began robbing banks across Missouri. Their first notable heist was the Clay County Savings Bank in Liberty, Missouri, in 1866. It was one of the first daylight bank robberies in U.S. history. They walked in, armed, and walked out with over $60,000. Over the next decade, the James Younger Gang became legendary. They robbed banks, trains, stagecoaches, and occasionally stores. They were known for their daring and for striking in broad daylight. The gang became infamous, but also developed a Robin Hood-like image among some Southerners who viewed them as rebels fighting Northern control. Jesse, always charismatic, often wrote letters to newspapers defending his actions. He painted himself as a political victim, and the press fed into the myth. He became a celebrity outlaw, but the gang's luck couldn't last forever. In 1876, they attempted a bold daylight robbery at the First National Bank in Northfield, Minnesota. Townspeople fought back, and in the chaos, several gang members were killed or captured. Jesse and Frank barely escaped. The last years after Northfield, the James gang was shattered. Jesse and Frank went into hiding. Jesse formed a new gang, but they were less reliable, more desperate. The heists continued, but so did the danger. Lawmen were closing in by 1881. Jesse had grown paranoid. He was living under the alias Thomas Howard with his wife and children in St. Joseph, Missouri. He rarely left the house, convinced betrayal could come at any moment. And it did. Governor Thomas Crittenden of Missouri offered a large reward for Jesse's capture, dead or alive. Two of Jesse's new recruits, Robert and Charlie Ford, agreed to betray him. On the morning of April 3rd, 1882, Jesse was at home with the Fords. He removed his gun belt to dust a picture on the wall. As he turned his back, Bob Ford drew his weapon and shot Jesse in the back of the head. Jesse James died instantly. He was 34 years old. The news spread like wildfire. Newspapers across the country covered the story, and the legend of Jesse James only grew in depth. Legacy to this day, Jesse James remains one of America's most famous outlaws. His story has been told in books, films, and songs. Some remember him as a brutal criminal, others as a folk hero who stood against the powerful. But the truth is more complex. Jesse James was a product of a deeply divided America, molded by war, shaped by violence, and ultimately consumed by the very legend he helped create. His grave reads, Jesse W. James, murdered by a traitor and coward, whose name is not worthy to appear here. And whether outlaw or legend, Jesse James lives on in every story whispered about the Old West.